Welcome to the Genuinely You podcast channel, which is packed with advice and tips on how to live your life with purpose. Do you wish you felt happy and fulfilled? Are you feeling stuck, wishing things could be better? Are you ready to take some action and create the life you want? To start living an empowered life, you need to recognize and make full use of the power and freedom that comes from being genuinely you. Your host is Gina Gardner, a #1 best-selling author whose whole life has been about supporting people to achieve personal empowerment, helping people just like you recognize that they can.
Using positive anchors. A technique that I teach most of my clients is that of using anchoring. I'm sure all of you will have experienced a situation where somebody's voice or a particular place or a smell has triggered an emotional response in you. That trigger opens up a memory of a previous experience and takes us to that place that where we felt that experience, takes us into that emotional state just as it was when we felt that experience for the first time. And we can utilize that very positively by creating specific anchors that help us feel good. So today I'm going to talk to you about how to create those positive anchors. So let's be clear. A trigger is anything that takes us to a feeling that we've had before. And it can be a voice, it can be a piece of music, a smell, a particular experience or colour. Those experiences can be very positive or very negative. So let me share a negative one with you. As you know, I still use a wheelchair, but at times I've been completely wheelchair bound. Now, before I go and stay at a hotel or I go to visit a new place, I always phone and say, is it wheelchair accessible? So often people have said, yes, wheelchair accessible, no problem. But when I've got there, there've been 10 steps to get into the front door. Or it's accessible, but you have to go round the corner and up a slope and past the dustbins, and you get the idea. Now, every time that has happened, it triggers not only the situation of that moment, but I relive the frustrations of the previous situations too. Now that's an example of a negative trigger. But a positive trigger would be when you hear a piece of music and it takes you back to that wonderful time when you had dinner with a very close friend, or your wedding day, something of that sort. The rules of using an anchor in a positive way is that you have to get into that emotional state first and make sure it's really powerful before you then anchor it. Remember we spoke earlier that our brain's like a vinyl record. The vinyl record's got grooves and the needle picks up the groove and then plays the record, and the music is the same every time. Our brains are just like that. And what we're going to do is to create the groove that takes us to that positive place, so that when we need to feel more confident or we're feeling very anxious, we can shift that particular groove into something much more positive. In fact, what we're going to do is to create a new neural pathway. A neural pathways is really about how you create a habit, and it takes 28 days of doing something consistently every single day to create that new neural pathway. We need the anchor to be strong, we need it to be positive, and we need then to use a trigger. Now the trigger I'm going to teach you is a very simple one. Those of you that have perhaps read something about anchoring will sometimes see that people offer very complex ways of triggering the anchor. I use something very, very simple, because if you make it easy, you're more likely to do it. So when it comes to anchoring, just simply press your index finger and your thumb together tightly. But you only do that when you're in a very strong, positive emotional state. So, how does it work? The first thing to do is you have to imagine yourself at a time when you were feeling really great, really positive and confident. Close your eyes, and although I teach this to people standing up, once you know how to do it, you can do it anywhere other than when you're driving. And ultimately, you don't need to close your eyes at all. Once the neural pathway's been created, you simply create the trigger, and that will take you straight back to that emotional place where you felt good. So, stand up, arms loosely by your side, eyes closed. And what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to imagine yourself in a really positive place. Maybe it was your wedding day, or when you got a qualification, or it could be a birthday party, on holiday, anywhere where you feel really, really good about you. And just take a couple of minutes to settle into that. Use your senses to relive that moment. What could you hear? What could you see? How did it feel? Where in your body do you feel that sense of confidence? For some clients, it's in their solar plexus. For others, it's around their shoulders. It doesn't matter where it is, but recognize where it is. Give yourself permission that you can actually relive that and that you can turn it up. Imagine that there's a dial in front of you, and at the moment the dial is only at 50% power. Rack it up so it's 70%. Give yourself that extra confidence, that extra feeling of being positive. And when you get there, ramp it up again. Turn the dial or the lever up to 90%. See how that feels. And then turn it up to 100%. And when you're really feeling incredibly strong and confident, then put your finger and thumb together and squeeze it. And just imagine that power, that sense of confidence and strength. How would it be to be in that all day long? To get to the end of today and you felt powerful all day? How about having that confidence all day tomorrow? What would it feel like if you could manage to live in that sense of can-do, possibility, confidence and power for a whole week? What about a month? Just imagine if you lived the next year in that sense that you can do anything you set your mind to, that you're perfectly capable of dealing whatever life throws at you. And then think about how your life could be if you lived your life in this energy all the time. Let go your finger and thumb, and as you open your eyes, bring that sense of confidence and strength into today. Work on it today and staying in that place. Now, over the next few days, take some time, at least 3 or 4 times a day, to get yourself into that confident place and to turn it up, make sure it's 100%, and then to anchor. When you do this for 28 days, it means that whenever you need it, just by putting your finger and thumb together, you'll get a burst of confidence, a burst of a sense of possibility. It's really helpful when you're going into challenging situations or if you're feeling anxious. It's also useful when you need to feel resourced. Before I leave you today, I want to share with you how one client actually adapted this for herself. She used her clothes as her anchor. And she used to put on her knickers and think, that's my courage. And put on her bra, that's my strength. Put on her skirt, that's my resilience. And so on. When she went into meetings and she had a very high-powered job, and it was in a very male-dominated environment, and she felt very often that she was perhaps having to measure up in a way that was challenging. So when things got really tough, what she would do is take her suit jacket off, and then she would put it back on again, and that was like putting on her cloak of invincibility. She re-anchored herself into a place of control, of confidence and power. So you can use this in any number of ways. If it was really difficult, what she would do is she would put her hand in the back of her waistband and she'd ping her knicker elastic. It would make her smile inwardly and it would give her a sense of, do you know what? I can do anything. So, give it a go. Be consistent. This doesn't work if you just do it once or twice. Until you get it to the point where it's become a habit, that new neural pathway has been created, you do need to go through the process fully. Once it's become habit, all you need to do, finger and thumb together, and you'll get to that place of power and confidence. So, let me know how you get on. Bye-bye.
You've just been listening to another great Genuinely You podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. Genuinely You is a culmination of Gina's work, spanning over 30 years, of helping people learn what makes them feel happy and truly fulfilled, and how to achieve it. Please visit genuinely-you.com today to find out more.